go. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us today. This is the second webinar in our series of State Fair informational opportunities. Today we're going to focus mostly on the teen opportunities that are available at the State Fair. So just a few things we'll go over. Again, we'll review who our leadership team is for the State Fair, if there's any updates that we've got for folks. Things to find on the web, talk specifically about the teen leadership opportunities, and then just some reminders about where you can find information and when our next webinar will be. So the State Fair leadership team comprised of actually a couple of different teams of people. In animal science, we have Dana, who kind of encompasses most everything and can usually point you in the right direction. There's Debbie Grusemeyer, who is in the dairy cattle barn, Tatiana, who you can contact for goat items, and then Dr. Lindsay Goodale is with the horse program. So those are the folks at Cornell that we can contact to assist us in those areas. As far as the youth building is concerned, there's myself. I'm Autumn Levine. I am the overall building and program coordinator. And recently, Wendy Richardson in Herkimer County has officially been brought on staff. She's going to be helping us with all things evaluation. We just ask for everybody's patience. We're both kind of learning new things and learning the ins and outs of our new positions. So we'll do the best we can to keep everybody informed and everybody updated on what's happening and what's going on. But again, we're learning some of our position responsibilities as we go, so we appreciate your patience. In the state office, we have Adam and Alexa, Andy, Jamila, Jen, Nigel, and Alan, and they all have different roles and can help in different ways. So don't be afraid to reach out. And if you're not sure whom you should talk to, you know, give me a shout out and I can usually point you in the right direction. So the youth building, the rotation information is posted on the web. If you haven't seen it, that stuff has been, I think, mostly finalized. I don't see anything really drastic changing at this point. Most of our counties are going to be coming and staying and sharing booth space for the full 13 days of the State Fair. And we do have about 13 counties that are going to continue to rotate in and out on the 3 to 4 day rotations. Please take note though that the first rotation, if you've not been on that rotation previously, it is extended a day. And so it's going to be easiest for folks to move in on that Tuesday as the fair does open on Wednesday. That being said, a Wednesday move-in could be possible. It's just going to have to happen really early in the day because they are going to shut the gates down and you won't be able to drive on the grounds after 9 a.m. If that's of concern to your county, please give me a shout and we'll see what we can work out for that because I know an extra day could be a burden for some, and I would love to talk to folks if that's the case for them so that we can figure out a plan. We do have some daily themes in the building. Every day is going to have a different theme. What that means is it's just our way of trying to highlight what 4-H does in New York State. So for instance, on the day that we have Junior Iron Chef, that day will focus on nutrition, food, and healthy lifestyles type topics. It doesn't mean that your county has to choose and change their activity in your booth every day. That's not the intent. It's just a way for us to try to draw attention to all the wonderful things all of our educators, all of our program people are doing across New York State. So when we have Fashion Review, which by the way, hopefully everyone received my email concerning Fashion Review and Junior Iron Chef, that those will be one-day events this year. The dates have been solidified at this point, and I did send an email out about that a couple of weeks ago. So if you didn't see that, let me know, and I'm more than happy to forward that on so that you can plan accordingly. So the other thing that goes along with our themes, we've always had kind of, everybody asks what's the theme in the building. Well, we've had over the years numbers of people coming through the building asking what the 4-H's stand for. And being that the national initiative is to really focus on our 4 areas, you know, healthy lifestyles, animal science, and agriculture, and forgive me, the other 2 are slipping my brain at the moment. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to take those and encompass those into the head, heart, health, and hands. So it's kind of a Mod Podge way of looking at informing the public of what the 4-H's stand for and what it is, the areas that we work within. So there'll be more details coming out about that. Jen Bassman has been assisting me on some of that information, and that will come out to you soon. In addition to that, there's that booth premium piece that every county is eligible for, as long as it fits within the theme. So there is kind of a evaluation form of sorts that we will share with everybody as to how you can obtain that. I think it's a $50 or $75 per rotation premium that comes to your county. So there'll be more information in the next BRE or a separate email coming from me to define all of those things. But that's about all I have right now for updates. I really haven't heard anything from State Fair at this point. I did ask Mel Chesbrough for an update, and I haven't heard anything. So there's no updates on parking. There's no updates on buildings at this particular time. But I will email her, and as soon as I get updates, they will be shared with everyone. As far as that is concerned.
Okay. Cake in there.
All right.
Again? Or still?
2 yesterday.
Oh.
All right. So staff website. We are updating this regularly. I just went in and did some updates last night as far as uploading some PowerPoint presentations, as well as updating information on the youth opportunities portion of the website. Everything State Fair can be found there, and if you can't find it, send me a note or send Jen Bassman a note to say, hey, I'm looking for let's say Produced in New York information or whatever that may be. And I know the Animal Science is working to keep their pages updated as well. It changes regularly. It's updated quite frequently. So just keep making sure that you check in there every once in a while to see if there's anything that you need to know or any new information that has been made available. To reach the staff site, you actually go to the New York State 4-H's public page, go all the way to the bottom, and it said there's a little thing at the bottom that says staff site. If you click on that, it will take you there, and there are separate sections for all things New York State 4-H, and one of those is the New York State Fair. So you can find information for all 4-H related things on that staff site, and I know that the state staff works pretty hard to make sure that that stuff stays as up to date as possible. But again, if you can't find something, let us know. Come on. There we go. All right, so moving into what we are here to talk about today, the teen leadership opportunities. So at the New York State Fair, there's different levels at which teens may participate, and some of them are dependent on their ages. So in this case, we're talking about junior superintendents. Junior superintendents are those individuals are who are between the ages of 16 and 19, based on whatever their age was on January 1st of the program year. So these folks work primarily in the youth building, although there are animal science junior superintendents. Those positions are available, but they are at the discretion of those youth department supers. So depending on which species it is, they may or may not have a junior superintendent position available. I know dairy does, horses do, the sheep barn has junior superintendent positions available, but you do have to speak with those superintendents who are listed in the State Fair book directly, although I can filter applications to them if that's the case. So what does a junior superintendent do? There is a formal position description available on the website that goes through all of the details, but basically they are the extra arms, ears, legs, whatever it is that we need in the youth building or in the animal science departments to help get things done. So they are part of the State Fair team. We actually have conference calls for the youth department, the youth building ones, usually about once a month to check in and start planning things like evening activities or talking about the best way to survive at State Fair, because these folks do live there for the long term. In the youth building, I have 2 different levels of junior superintendents. There's usually my first year junior supers, and they're allowed to stay for 1 week. Those that are returning junior supers that have been invited to return usually can stay for the full fair. So they'll stay for the full, actually they usually stay 14 days because they move in on the Monday before fair opens, and they don't leave until probably about 9 p.m. on Labor Day. So it's a long haul. They are required to take days off. So for every 6 days that they work, they have to take a day off. And we work very closely with Jean Thomas in the State 4-H office in the youth building to make sure that those kids get that time off and that they are also working reasonable amounts of time. They do have to work 8 hours a day in the buildings to earn their premium. They get a $40 a day premium, and that's considered their compensation. We consider this a workforce readiness type experience. And that being said, we are in the process of revamping this a bit to take away some of the physical labor aspects of being a junior superintendent and adding in more work skills development. So things like writing resumes and cover letters, and how do I describe this experience at State Fair to an employer? How do I do an interview? Those are being more heavily incorporated this year into this program as we morph it more and more into a workforce readiness type experience. Junior superintendents, whether returning or new, are required to fill out an application. There is both on the website available a hard copy that they can print and fill out and mail to me, but there is also a WUFU form that they can fill out to apply electronically. They do have to provide resumes, they have to provide cover letters, letters of recommendation, or a recommendation of good standing from their educators. So there's a list of items. It's treated just as if it is a real job, so that they get that experience. And then I do phone interviews with all of my junior superintendents to not only answer their questions, but to kind of figure out who they are, what their goals are, and what it is that they expect to get out of this experience, having to be at State Fair for this extended period of time. Junior supers are, their premium comes with your county premiums. So they will, that's paid out the same way that you pay out premiums to kids who are receiving ribbon premiums. The check goes directly to the counties, and then you disperse the funds once you have received them. And I make sure that all the paperwork is submitted in order for them to be paid. Okay, the other teen leadership opportunities that we have at the State Fair are for both youth and teen leaders. The youth leaders was a new opportunity that we offered last year. It's for the younger kids that may come to work in the building. What we found last year is they typically became more episodic. So let's say a youth showed up who was 9 years old, and the county educator said, hey, do you want to come help in the booth, or can you help us with Produce to New York, or can you help us with the robotics challenge? So we make it so that they are able to have a leadership experience, but our youth leaders who are ages 9 to 12 do need to be supervised by either a volunteer or the county educator. Teen leaders are typically supervised by the key leaders, or your county educators if they're in the booth, whereas the youth leaders ages 9 to 12 do need to be chaperoned, and they do need to be supervised by someone from the county. The teen leaders are those youth who are ages 13 to 19 who may want to come and work in a very specific area. These folks are expected to work. Oh, there is a question from Jane in the box. If there's anyone who'd like to address that. Jane, what I can say is that some counties, at least in my experience, they distribute it as cash, and the kids have to come pick it up, so there is not that cost of cutting checks and worrying about people not cashing checks. But every county handles it differently, so that's a great question, and if anybody can respond to that for Jane, that would be fantastic. So with our teen leaders, they are expected to work 6 hours a day in some capacity in the building. Many times they choose to work in specific areas, such as GPS and GIS with Chip Malone and Susan Hoskins, or maybe they're working in the poultry area, or shooting sports. So those are listed, and I just updated that nomination form, which again is available on the website under Youth Opportunities for State Fair. And so it's a matter of your educators. You can go in, and if you've got a kid who wants to work in a specific area, especially helping us with evaluations of projects, you can sign them up for a specific area. And we do our best to give kids their first choice, as we know that that's where they will be happiest and hopefully the most productive. So we do our best to take care of that and to work with the kids. It is best if they are pre-registered. It makes it a lot easier for me to figure out where the holes are going to be and where we might need to recruit for additional help once they arrive at the state fair. But that being said, we know that that's not always possible. So there is usually a board outside of the 4-H office that shows where we have holes and where we need people. There are also descriptions of these positions available on the website that can help you kind of describe what these roles are to the kids when they're trying to figure out what they want to do. Now, along this lines, because we have changed Fashion Review to a one-day event, youth that might be coming when we don't have a fashion review or are unable to attend for fashion review can still sign up to Mannequin Model and earn their teen leadership premium that way. So yes, we moved to the fashion review, and I do understand that that is a challenge for some folks. Our intention is that this is not permanent. It is something that we're doing because of low participation numbers, but we also plan to try and make this event so that it hits different rotations, different years. So if there's a teen that normally would participate the third rotation and just can't make it the first rotation, in 2020, we will move Fashion Review to the third rotation if it stays a one-day event. Or we may have enough participation that it will go back to being a multi-day event. It just really depends on participation numbers and the need for that. So just keep that in mind, that your kids that might participate in Fashion Review do still have options to show off their fantastic work. It just might look a little different than it has in the past. So again, the recommendation process for the youth and the teen leaders is available on the website, and you are more than welcome to email me anytime if you have questions about the specifics for those roles. And I will do my best to help you out with that. But it is best to have as many teens pre-registered as possible, because that does help us plan as necessary. That brings us to the youth building and parents. Jen Bassman has been working diligently to find us a more local supplier for the t-shirts or any other wearable items. Please note, again, this is not required that you as a county or even the teens or the families, the volunteers, it's not a requirement to purchase these items from our supplier. What we would like to start seeing is, just making sure that everybody's wearing 4-H garb, and preferably in 4-H green, because it does help the public kind of identify who we are and what we're trying to do. And as I've said in the past, looking in pictures from last year, it was fantastic to just see this sea of green as we walked down through the building, or took a look at when our delegates, our VIPs from campus visited. We could just see this wonderful sea of green going down through the building, really promoting the 4-H brand and what it is that we do and why we're there. So that's kind of our teen leaders and junior supers in a nutshell. There's a lot to it, but also, again, keep in mind that animal science does have teen leadership and junior super opportunities. Some of the superintendents choose to utilize them, others do not. It is at their discretion, but I am more than happy to connect people to those areas if you have kids who are interested in that type of a thing. Oh, thank you, Jen. Yes. If you are keeping track of the chat, Jen did note that we do try to keep a collection of donated 4-H shirts. So if you have a kid who needs a shirt, they can just come see us. We do have a big tote left over from last year of items that can be borrowed if a kid is in need of a 4-H shirt. So we're trying to make sure that we cover all bases, and we don't have an expectation that everybody will be able to purchase these particular shirts or wearable items. But you know, the goal is to really try to make sure that that 4-H green is really prevalent and people know who we are. And animal science and any other places on the grounds are welcome to order those shirts, or to, again, even if it's an animal science kid that needs a 4-H shirt, please come see us. And if we've got something in the right size, we're more than happy to provide that to the kids. So that brings us kind of to the end here, just to take note that we do have 3 more webinars scheduled. Please take notice that the animal science webinar, which is typically done in July, has been moved to June, and that the one on evaluations, I know it says to be determined, but I believe in the BRE I do have that date. It should be the 2nd Wednesday of July. I think I just missed changing that, so I apologize for that. And so I guess that leads us to, if anyone has any kind of questions, you are welcome to unmute yourself to ask or type it in the chat box.
Autumn, this is Roxanne.
Hi, Roxanne.
Hi. For anybody on the call that's does have further questions about Fashion Review, I would be more than welcome to take them. I will be working with Autumn, everyone, on an itinerary for the day, and I realize that it is a day that that counties will be moving in and out. So the Fashion Review may extend beyond. I might have a fashion review up at, at 5 o'clock when counties are leaving at 3. If that's your case, we just want to make it as full of a day as possible, seeing that we're moving to one day. I do realize some counties that may be affected, Columbia Green, if their teens do participate and need to leave earlier, we understand that. But I will be working on updating that information, and we'll be posting the 2019. I will get that to Autumn to post on the website. But if you have any questions, you can also email me directly.
Great. Thank you, Roxanne. Thank you very much. Are there other questions or things that that you might have that you need to share with the group? Okay. I don't hear anyone, and I don't see anyone typing in the box. So everybody have a great day. We will get this posted as soon as we can for those that may have missed it, or if you have other staff that you would like to share this with. And please email me if you have any questions at all. And I will be sending out a notification just letting everybody know where to find the nomination forms for both junior superintendents and for teen leaders and youth leaders. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Autumn.
Oh, hi, Jane.
Sorry, I was muted, but I've been listening.
Oh, okay. Do you have a question?
Bye. No,
Okay, thank you, Jane. Have a good day.
you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.